It says, then Judas chose some soldiers to fight against those stationed in the elevated fortress until he completed cleansing the sanctuary. He selected priests who were blameless and devoted. No, I think jumped too fast here. Can I give me a little more time so I can give you a little further background? I'm
So,
going to read from verse 36. All right, so
First Maccabees chapter 4.
First Maccabees chapter 4, and I'm reading from verse 36. As this is after um, the victories that Judas Maccabeus had over the armies of the Greeks, Antiochus's armies, and he's the one that had defiled the temple by offering swine flesh on the altar. He killed a pig and offered it. That is how the sanctuary was defiled.
Okay.
And so what Judas Maccabeus did was to,
Okay, so basically there was a we say war then, would you call it a war, or just Greece being in control and what they did.
okay.
To give a backdrop,
You asked me what it is, so let me just read this and then I will give you
the history and
the
the
history
backdrop.
behind it.
Yeah.
So reading from verse 36 of First Maccabees chapter 4.
Yeah.
At that time, Judas and his brothers said, look, our enemies have been crushed. Let's go up to cleanse and rededicate the sanctuary. And the army gathered together and went up to Mount Zion. They found the sanctuary deserted, the altar treated with disrespect, the gates burned. In the courts, bushes had sprung up like in an open field or in one of the mountains. They saw that the priest's chambers were in ruins as well. So they tore their clothes and mourned with great sorrow. They sprinkled their heads with ashes and fell face down on the ground. When the trumpets sounded a signal, they cried out to heaven. Then Judas chose some soldiers to fight against those stationed in the elevated fortress until he completed cleansing the sanctuary. He selected priests who were blameless and devoted to the law. They cleansed the sanctuary and took the polluted stones to a ritually unclean place. They discussed what to do about the altar for entirely burnt offerings since it had been polluted. They decided it was best to tear it down so that it wouldn't be a lasting shameful reminder to them that the Gentiles had defiled it. So they tore down the altar. They stored the stones in a convenient place on the Temple Mount until a prophet should arise who could say what to do with them. Then they took unfinished stones in keeping with the law and built a new altar like the former one. They also restored the sanctuary and the temple interior and dedicated the courtyards. They fashioned new holy equipment and brought the lampstand, the incense altar, and the table into the temple. Then they offered incense on the altar and lit the lamps on the lampstand, which illuminated the temple. They placed bread on the table and hung curtains. Finally, they completed all the work that they had started. They rose early in the morning of the 25th day of the ninth month the month of Kelsiv. It was the year 148. They offered sacrifices following the law on the new altar for entirely burnt offerings that they had made. In the very season, on the exact day that the Gentiles had polluted it, it was dedicated with songs, harps, flutes, and cymbals. All the people bowed to the ground and worshipped and blessed heaven, which had given them success. So they celebrated the rededication of the altar for 8 days and joyfully made entirely burnt offerings. They offered a sacrifice of deliverance and praise. They decorated the front of the temple with gold crowns and small shields. They restored the gates and the priest's chambers, furnishing them with doors. The people were extremely glad, and the disgrace the Gentiles brought was lifted. Then Judas, with his brothers and all the assembly of Yasharal, laid down a law that every year at that season the dedication of the altar should be observed with joy and happiness for 8 days, beginning with the 25th day of Kelsiv. At the same time, the Israelites built high walls and strong towers all around Mount Zion so that the Gentiles did not come and trample them as they had done previously. Judah stationed an occupying force there as guards. He also built up Beth Zor to protect it so that the people might have a fortress that faced in the direction of Idumea. So here we have the record of the cleansing and rededication
of the temple.
of the temple.
And then the inception and what where they say that every year we will do this celebration.
For 8 days. So this is not found in Leviticus 23, where you get a list of all the appointed times by Yahweh. This is one like Purim, where the people instituted afterwards. It's like a national holiday for the children of Israel. This is just recording or remembering this great deliverance that Yah had given them over the Greeks. So what happened? In the King James Version, you would not find the book of Maccabees. It was removed.
Yes.
But it's the only record that we have of the Greek kingdom.
Greek kingdom. Okay. So just 1 second. Good night, Amalia. Good night, Joel.
Good night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good night, good night.
So
Welcome.
welcome. So is there the Greek kingdom? So just for some people who might not know, what period was this? Like, is there a sequence in the Bible that could show us?
Okay, so we go to the book of Daniel.
Yes, in the book of Daniel.
And Daniel had the vision of these kingdoms. Nebuchadnezzar
Yes, Nebuchadnezzar had a vision.
had the vision first that Daniel had to
Interpret.
interpret for him,
Mhm.
telling of all the world powers. The first one, the head of gold, was Babylon,
And
then
the chest
the
of silver.
Medes and the Persians,
Mhm.
then that of brass, which was the Greeks, and the Roman Empire, which we are under now,
The
is
iron and clay.
the feet of iron and clay.
Yes.
Right? So that was seen in as one vision. Then Daniel had another vision of the animals, the lion, the bear, the leopard,
Mhm.
and that nondescript beast, which represent Rome again. So all these
World powers,
world
world
powers,
kingdom.
Daniel chapter 2, Daniel chapter 7, carry these visions of these world powers. So in the Bible,
So basically, in the Bible, we hear about Babylon, which is the first one.
Yes, when you hear about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego
So that's
in the
Babylon,
in
the
the
first
fire,
one.
that's
And
Babylon.
then we have the Medes and Persia come second.
Yes, where Daniel was in the lion's den, that was under the Medes and the Persians.
And
Okay.
Darius.
And then
Darius, King
after
Darius.
that is Greek.
After that is the Greeks, but there's no record of
There's
that
no record of their ruling in the Bible,
in the King James Version.
in the King James Version. Okay. So that's why we hear about when we study history, world history, and you hear about Alexander the Great,
Yes,
that would be the Greek Empire being established with Alexander the Great taking over. And
yes,
I mean, we might not have the time to go into all the scriptures, but as you reference Daniel chapter 7, where talk about the leopard being one of the fastest animals in is a description of the kingdom,
the
how the
Greek
kingdom
kingdom
of
and Alexander the Great at his
conquered the world
in 12 years. And
quickly.
from the age of 21, he started his conquest, and he died at 33, and he had conquered the whole world. But he didn't have any heir, he didn't have any children.
Okay.
So his kingdom was divided in four according to the vision that Daniel had. His
Yeah.
four generals, they divided his kingdom.
Yes.
And that little horn, well, we'd have to go through the book of Daniel to really get the details of all of this. The division of the kingdom and the little horn that would come up, that would be this one that defiled the temple.
Okay.
So the book of Maccabees, first
Yes.
Maccabees, yeah, first, second, third, fourth Maccabees,
Yeah.
they cover that period
The period of the
Of
Greek
Greek
Empire.
Empire.
of the Greek Empire, some of it.
Yeah, some of
and
it.
And all the
Okay.
atrocities that happened in that empire.
Yes.
Remember
So-
to speak in
so
the mic.
you would hear they say that between Malachi and Matthew, a period of 400 years where God was silent. He wasn't silent. This is what is hidden
Yes.
because of the whole Hellenization of the message of the gospel of the kingdom, where the Greek, when we talk about Hellenization, we talk about the Greek customs that were introduced
Yes.
to the people,
Yeah.
Hellenism, their way of worship. So that is basically hidden from us because much of it is in Christianity.
Yes.
And
So-
people just follow the customs and not knowing where,
The customer don't know where it come
where,
from.
where it come from. They don't know the origins of
So
it.
now coming back to Maccabees, first Maccabees chapter 4, what you just read earlier. So we have the backdrop, but this is during the Greek Empire, and they were first they had the Israelites under their control, and they persecuted them, and they tried to stop them from observing their regular way of worship, or
Jewish
their
customs,
their
all the Jewish customs, Sabbath keeping, circumcision, observing of the
the
feast
Sabbath
days,
and the feast
the
days,
Sabbath,
and the dietary law.
and the dietary law. They force them to eat pork.
Yeah. So with that done, and they defiled the temple.
Yeah, I would encourage everyone to read the book of Maccabees.
Yes, that is
That it is available online, and like I use
if you have the Bible app, the Holy
the
Bible, app,
yes, U
you
version.
can use the U version Bible app. If you
and
have that, you
and
can
I read
select.
from the CEB, Common English Bible,
Yes.
and you find it there. And there are others that carries them. Or the Apocrypha, if you go YouTube, you could just type in Book of Maccabees, first Book of Maccabees, and you could get the
And
audio
audio,
Yes.
listen. Yeah.
and give you the whole story of what happened. Now, if you have a knowledge of the book of Daniel, then you will see the fulfillment of Daniel's prophecy fulfilling in the time
Of the Maccabee.
of the Maccabees, what was prophesied concerning the Greek kingdom. So a very interesting point here that we come to of the cleansing
of the temple.
of the sanctuary, because
Yeah.
there's so much teachings about
So
that.
just to highlight something, I mean, you said it earlier, but I just want to make sure that the audience know. You know, it was so these are not found in this practice, this celebration. Then is not found in Leviticus 23, where the Creator give Israel his feast days that they should celebrate forever. Right? So this is a national holiday that the people adopt themselves. That they find we got deliverance from Yah in this battle against Greek, and we get back the temple, we cleanse the temple, and in celebrating this cleansing the sanctuary, we would do it a yearly celebration to commemorate this victory that
This
Yah
is
has
great
given us.
deliverance.
And the deliverance, the deliverance, and also the cleansing of the sanctuary.
And the cleansing of the sanctuary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the size of the army of Judas Maccabeus, the hammer, and the size of his army compared to the armies that he fought against and won, it was not by their might, it was not by their power, but they fasted and they prayed and they cried to heaven for deliverance, and Yah answered and delivered them.
Yes. So
So we observe it as believers in the God of Israel. Because as far as I'm concerned, if you're worshiping the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob,
yes.
if you join that community of believers believing in Yahushua Mashiach, then it's like I was not born in St. Martin, but when St. Martin's Day come, I observe it. I join with St. Martiners and I observe St. Martin's Day.
Yes.
Right? It's a national holiday.
Yes.
And of course, even though I'm here, when it's Jamaican Independence Day, I also
Observe Jamaican
observe.
independence. And we have the Jamaicans here that come together and do a celebration.
So I'm just saying that there are some national events that when you join the community, you will embrace those events which has to do with the heritage of the people.
Yes.
Because you're a part of the community. So likewise, if you join this community of believers, believing in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, then you join in their celebrations as well.
So, Brother Joy, would you like to share how you observe this feast of dedication and celebration?
Well, so we had the candle lighting, which I have a question about, and we had so you limited meat, but I limited like the rice and stuff out of my diet. So I was different, and I added more fruit and added more vegetables. So like
Yes, so
Yeah.
there's an adjustment to the diet where not just the meat, also the starch. Yeah, right. So the rice and bread,
yeah. So
those were cut from the diet.
but the question I have though, the you know like I don't want to be like, like how people in Christianity celebrate Christmas without asking the question why they light the candle.
Mhm.
Why do we light the candles for
For the feast
these
of dedication.
dedications?
Oh, so what we understand about the celebration for the 8 days
Mm-hmm.
that we just read is that, in the temple you have the menorah,
Mm-hmm.
and they lit the menorah. And the story is that there was just a limited supply of oil, which would normally last for 1 day, but it lasted miraculously, lasted for the 8 days. That is
But yeah, that's the story that they give us. But you know where that story come from? The Talmud.
so. Um, the lighting of the menorah
The,
for me,
yeah. So I don't find the lighting of the
it,
menorah
it,
is
it
wrong.
is
It's just the way how
the number
they.
of days. If it was really true, your question.
So basically, we lighten it in a fashion that they dictate. I find when they lit it, they probably lit the whole thing or something like that for the whole 8 days.
Yeah,
Cause
we're lighting the menorah. Yeah.
yeah, they lit, cause like they say like light one candle this day, then two candle. But for the actual event is that all the candles were lit. The part
So
about the oil being low and these things and that part of the story is from the book of the so-called Jews.
yes, but it's not everything that they have is wrong. There's a lot of what they have. They try to learn of the Hebrew customs.
Mm.
Yes, and they try to practice as much.
Yeah, but I say in the way that they speak about it might not be true.
You don't know if you should trust them.
I don't trust them. Just because, you know, it's like
Okay, so
it's
you
just
you're
saying to
questioning
question it because,
you're
we know.
questioning the custom of lighting the candles. So
Yeah,
you're not sure if you should be lighting
all
candles.
can you wanted to you don't want to light a menorah at all, or you just want to light all 7 candles one time. A matter of fact, they make a special menorah for Hanukah
Hmm.
with 9 branches.
Yeah, with more branches and everything.
Yeah, a
So,
special, not the regular 7 branch menorah.
mhm,
We don't follow that. A menorah is
seven candlesticks.
seven candlesticks.
Yeah,
We maintain that.
yeah. So I just say, like we don't. I just want to, look at things. So just like how Christians will
And I
take
understand you.
Christmas as face value, you know,
I understand you.
and so I just don't want us to just because we say okay, yes, this is so, and then we just adapt it, and then it's not so, just to say
There's
just research.
what we read in First Maccabees chapter 4 doesn't give us any details about it. You just said that the celebration is for 8 days.
Yeah, for 8 days, and they burn
So how
incense and
you how and it's a joyous celebration. They give thanks and praise to heaven.
mm-hmm.
So how you would practice, like, look, we decided we're going to cleanse our
for physical temple.
physical temple, our bodies,
Mm-hmm.
and the temple, we're going to do a cleansing. That's just symbolic. It's not anything that is dictated. Matter of fact, the whole celebration is not one of the feasts of Yahweh. It's a God said to do this. This is Judas Maccabeus said to do it.
Mm.
But it's marking an important event in the history of Israel.
Yeah, when they were delivered.
Yes, and their deliverance, or the sufferings that they went through, under the Greeks and the deliverance that they had by Judas Maccabeus.
Yeah. So in verse in chap First Maccabees 4 and verse 50
59.
is where you see where they said, or verse 49 said, they fashioned new holy equipment and brought the lampstand, the incense altar, and the table into the temple. Then they offered incense on the altar and lit the lamps on the lampstand, which illuminated the temple. They placed bread on the table and hung curtains. Finally, they completed all the work that they had started. Yeah.
Yes, so it didn't say they would light. When you light it, lighting of the menorah would be all seven candlesticks, right? Which the whole temple practice that was then, we don't have a temple now. So all that we're doing is just symbolic. It's just um, um, a memorial. So there's no specific guideline as you must do this or that.
So if you decide that for your household you want to light all 7 candles for all 7 nights, that's
Yeah.
fine.
And if and if
For
you
all 8 nights.
and
Yeah.
if you don't want to be lighting a menorah, it, there's no law. It's not a commandment
By
from
yeah.
the Most High to say you have to do this.
But it is a cultural
Right.
adaptation.
And that's why we read John chapter 10 and verse 22, see where Yahusha himself, he attended
The,
the Feast of Dedication.
yeah.
He didn't have anything against it to say this shouldn't be. Right? It's like Purim with Esther. We still observe it. It's just a memorial of that deliverance as well. So wherever Yahweh delivers, he delivers from Egypt. We have Passover. It's a memorial.
Yeah, to make sure that you don't forget is to thank God for the battles that He has fought and delivered you from, so that your future generations don't just forget and just look at it as nothing.
I have a question
Mm-hmm.
because we was late. So I don't know if you mentioned that.
In the mic, in the mic.
Yeah, I think so. Yes. So my question is, when you guys celebrate the Feast of Dedication, do you do the gifts aspect of it, like giving 8 gifts on each day, or at the beginning or at the end?
No, we don't do any gifts. In Purim, we do gift exchange. In Purim, but not in the Feast of Dedication.
Okay, because I know someone. The first person I heard who told me about the Feast of Dedication and how they celebrate it, they do the gifts
Gift exchange.
aspect. So you get 8 gifts, one on each day in their family. That's how they
Well,
do it.
when you look at it, the scripture does the way the scripture put it. He said that for 8 days we're going to be joyous and happy, and we're going to have a good time. So if giving gifts add to the joy and happiness, then I can understand that. But
Yeah.
for us, I believe we try to stay away from
Yeah,
the other to
we
coincide with the other celebration.
there's no specific way laid down, no ritual there that you have to follow. It's just recounting or having a memorial of what happened then and to see the fulfillment of scripture. Because Daniel 8:14, it they tell you unto what time, 2,300 evenings and mornings, then the sanctuary will be cleansed. And we see it being cleansed there, the fulfillment. All what Daniel saw in that vision with the ram with the 2 horns and then that notable horn that came up in Daniel chapter 8, we see it fulfill exactly as how Daniel prophesied, or according to the vision he had, that it would fulfill.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Yes, we've come to the 9 o'clock hour, and so we just have to close off right here on the radio and then continue on Facebook for a short while. Thank you all for listening to Two Seekers, presented by Hallelujah Ambassadors. And we look forward for you to tune in next week again at 8 p.m. as we search the scriptures to find more truth and to learn more about our Creator and to worship Him in spirit and in truth. The Hallelujah Ambassadors, we fellowship on Sabbath from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can join us in worship at number 6080 Ilajun. You can join us. We look forward to seeing you. Shabbat Shalom. Till next time.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Oh,
shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Eh, while I was reading the scripture um, in Maccabees chapter 4, I saw that they mentioned Gazalia. You saw
In
that?
that area, Gazaria.
Gazaria. Yeah, just looking. And the men yeah. Um, Something about the men run to the Philistine. The
In the land of the Philistines. I want to read earlier in the introduction of the book, chapter 1. This is some of the things that Antiochus did.
To give the backdrop as to what was going on.
Yeah, after Antiochus coming from Egypt and coming back to Jerusalem, chapter 1, verse 20. You can go ahead and look for what you're looking for, Brother Joy. After he conquered Egypt, Antiochus returned in the year 143. He went up to Israel and entered Jerusalem with a strong force. With arrogance, he went into the sanctuary. He took the gold altar, the lampstand for the light, and all its equipment. He took the table that was used for the sacred bread, drink offering, cups, bowls, gold censers, a curtain, crowns, and the gold decorations on the front of the temple. He stripped it all. He took silver, gold, and costly equipment. He took every hidden treasure he could find. Taking it all, he went back to his own land. He committed murder and spoke very arrogantly. Every community in Israel grieved deeply. Rulers and elders groaned. Young women and men became faint. The woman's beauty faded. Every bridegroom was saddened, and intended brides sat mourning in their chambers. Even the land shook for its people, and all of Jacob's house was clothed with shame. 2 years later, to collect a tribute from the Judean cities, King Antiochus sent his chief officers, who came to Jerusalem with a large army. The agent spoke peaceably, and the Jews believed him. But he was deceitful. Without warning, he attacked the city, dealt a brutal blow, and killed many Israelites. He plundered the city. He set fire within, destroyed its houses, and tore down its protected walls. His forces took women and children as prisoners and seized livestock. After all of this, the agent's forces fortified David's city with very strong wall and powerful towers, and it became their fortress. They stationed sinful, immoral people there, and these soldiers held down their position. They stocked up with weapons and food and collected the spoils of Jerusalem and stored them there. They were a great menace. They ambushed the sanctuary. They were an evil opponent of Israel at all times. The inhabitants shed innocent blood. all around the sanctuary, and they even polluted the sanctuary itself. Because of them, those who live in Jerusalem fled. The city became a dwelling place for strangers. She was like a stranger to her offspring. Her children abandoned her. Her sanctuary was as barren as a desert. Her feasts turned into mourning, her Sabbaths to shame, her honor into contempt. Her dishonor became as great as her glory had been. Her joy was turned into sadness. The king Antiochus sent word throughout all his entire kingdom that everyone should act like one people, giving up local customs. The Gentile nations all really readily
Readily.
accepted the king's command. Many Jews also willingly adopted the king's religion. They sacrificed to idols and violated the Sabbath. The king sent messengers carrying letters to Jerusalem and the surrounding towns of Judah. He directed Jews to follow customs that had been unknown in the land. He banned the regular practice of entirely burnt offerings, sacrifices, and drink offerings in the sanctuary. He banned the observance of Sabbaths and feast days. The sanctuary and its priests were to be defiled. They should build new altars together with sacred precincts and shrines for idols. They should sacrifice pigs and other ritually impure animals. Jews were no longer to circumcise their sons. They were supposed to make themselves repulsive to God by doing unclean and improper acts. All of this was intended to make them forget the law and change its regulations. Whosoever didn't obey the king would die. So terrible was Antiochus.
Yeah. You seek to change everything about Yasharala that made them Yasharala.
Yes, everything about them he tried to change. And,
Everything that made them separate, made
yeah,
them.
and you know, the thing about it is that Constantine, emperor, the Roman emperor Constantine, he did basically the same thing,
Yeah,
the
that,
same
that
deceit.
I always draw the reference. I explain it this way. Babylon tried it, tried to change your diet, the Sabbath, to stop you from being who that's all it's supposed to be. It's just supposed to be. They didn't do it. They didn't succeed. Then Medes and Pressure was a little bit more lenient with Daniel being a prime minister after the fact.
President. Daniel was president.
President, yeah,
Prime.
after the fact. So after they tried to withhold the lifestyle of worshiping Yah, they put them in the line. Then they had their lifestyle. They had Daniel as the high chief afterwards. So they were a little bit more lenient. Then, as you just read, when the Greek take over, what they did and how far they took it, and how much atrocities they put the people through to do this. You just read that. And then Rome, which is where the New Testament is written, and then we know about the Catholic Church, which is based from Rome. Basically, they have successfully execute those other three kingdoms plan, but how they do it? By creating Christianity or combining the belief.
Amalgamation, yes,
Yes.
combining the
So
beliefs,
they combine the beliefs of the Greek,
the Babylonians.
the Babylonians, and everything, and those who believe in the Yasharala,
They
and they
hold the
come.
scriptures.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way: they hold the scriptures and say they believe in it.
Yes,
But they put in different practices.
yes. If they combine everything together, mix it up.
Yes.
and give it to you.
You know why? No one could deny the fact that Yahusha was the Son of God. They all had to come to recognize him for who he is.
Yes.
They could no longer deny it, but they distort the message. Look, let me read Second Maccabees chapter 6. Just a few verses there to see how they outlawed Judaism.
Shabbat Shalom, Sebastian.
Shabbat Shalom. So, Second Maccabees chapter 6. Shortly afterward, the king sent out an Athenian elder to force the Jews to turn away from their ancestral laws and stop living according to God's laws. He was also ordered to defile the temple in Jerusalem and to rename it for Zeus, Olympus, and to rename the temple in Mount Gerizim for Zeus, friend of strangers, just as the people living there requested. The onslaught of this evil was severe and hard for all to bear. The Gentiles filled the temple with wild partying and sexual indulgence. They were entertaining themselves with prostitutes and having sex with women in the priestly chambers. In addition, they carried in unfit things, and the altar was illegally covered with offerings forbidden by the laws. It was impossible to keep the Sabbath or the ancestral festivals or even simply to profess to be a Jew. This is how the persecution was, how great it was. And let me tell you, the time of Jacob's trouble, that is prophet, that is to come, will be as bad as this or even worse.
Yes.
This same kind of
Persecution.
persecution will come again for anyone who stand up against the mark of the beast or against the beast system.
Yeah. But
So
we just
we can learn from this how just practicing these festivals, anything to do with our ancestral laws and festivals, they will bring persecution.
so you're saying that it's keeping the feast days of Leviticus 23 will bring persecution.
These are not quote unquote Christian festivals. These have been outlawed by the church.
So, based on what you're saying,
The church tell you you don't have to keep them.
so based on what you're saying, you know, it make it sound like Christianity is the mark of the beast, you know.
No.
Not
Look,
not saying so.
Christianity, how I look at it, Christianity is the one that is forcing the different laws into play. So it removing the history of the Bible and forcing different blending the different pagan religion and different pagan customs into the worship of the Most High. And so it changes. So Christianity is the one that changes from worshiping on Sabbath.
Change the Sabbath to Sunday.
Most Christian churches worship on Sunday.
They come together on Sunday.
They come together on Sunday. They no longer call on the name of the Father
They
because
don't.
they remove the name of the Father
They call him Lord.
through the Christian religion.
Yes.
And
Or they use Jehovah.
yeah, and all the different things or the acts of worship that would symbolize that you're worshiping the Creator is being removed by this entity that seems to be glorifying creator of heaven and earth, but is removing
It's
some of the
polluted.
core
It's polluted.
things.
Not removed, but polluted.
Uh,
That's how
you,
I put it. How it being polluted.
Brother
But then
Joel,
again, uh, let me see if I could give a response. Then, because you have Yasharala, Israel, who got the message from from God, how to worship Him, what laws to keep, how to please Him, right? So they have their way of life to please Yah. Then now you have those who are what we call the heathen.
Hmm.
They have their lifestyle. Now this is what happened. They
they have
claim
their gods.
and they have their lifestyle and their God that they worship. Now, somewhere along the line, after the Messiah, they claim to have accepted the Messiah, and then but instead of following Yahshua way of worship, they want to hold on to their traditional practices that they did.
Hmm.
So in their traditional practice and accepting Yahshua's message, they blend it up. Now, those who that were the one that had the power to do so, who were in leadership and could have done so, Constantine and the whole setup did that, and then you have the Crusaders, and you have a whole history behind it, right? But I wouldn't say that that is the mark of the beast. Maybe it's part of the system. Yes, I would agree to say it's part of the system. I'm just saying that the worship is being polluted because even when you were considering yourself as a Christian, your worship
So,
was pure but polluted.
so, so, and that, and that, what the Bible say? Come out of her, my people.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me explain a little here as to what I understand Christianity to be.
Mm.
The Christian religion, as formed by Constantine, Emperor Constantine, he did it as a political move, not as a religious move. As from the um,
History.
history that I got, his conversion might have been on his deathbed. If you look at the act of Constantinople that he built even after his so-called conversion, he was still worshiping the sun god. The arch that is there is still worshiping the sun god. Right, and all through Christendom, you still see that arch, what they call the Gloria or the Halo. It's still worshiping the sun god.
Mm,
That,
just to add into, this is something I learned from history. That's even before, you know, learning about the Bible and these type of stuff. Christianity also was kind of pushed on people. So you see, the same way we have these stories from Maccabees and stuff, where they were forcing them, you have to accept this God or you will die. Christianity was also that type of thing
Yeah.
on people who were
Crusaders.
Protestant or who was serving different gods. They literally had to accept our God as their God or they would die. So there was that point where, and you had a lot of these people now saying, okay, yes, they submitted because they don't want to die, but then they kept their own practices and they were still worshiping their gods under the guise of Christianity. And
yes.
that's where you have a lot of the influence now, as they would say, the pagan culture, the Protestant culture coming in into Christianity now because these people are finding ways to justify the practices that they have.
Yeah, so that is what Constantine did in order to unify his empire between the East and the West. He merged the religions. So
So talk,
whereas in Rome they had practiced Mithraism, they just merged it with the way of the believers of the Hebrew faith. He merged them. So not denying Yahusha, because before anyone who was
preaching,
professing
professing Yahusha,
belief in Yahusha was being persecuted,
they were being put to death.
severely persecuted. Their lands confiscated, their homes confiscated, everything. But then Constantine come now and give them freedom to worship and do this amalgamation of the way, those who believe in Yahusha, and the Roman, Greco-Roman customs. So that's why you still have holidays like Easter and Christmas celebrations coming from their roots, and they hold on to them. The doctrine of the Trinity, all of that, their original pagan customs. These things were just baptized into Christianity. The Son's Day, which they now call the Christian Sabbath, is the same thing. It's same original worship of the sun.
But you say they were baptized into Christianity. What if they were originally part of Christianity?
Well,
But
Christianity,
Christ-
Okay,
Christ-
how I would
Christianity
explain.
didn't come about until over
Exactly.
320 something years after the Messiah.
So-
321.
So that's what
So-
how I would answer that, Joe, is the when you talk about Catholic, the the word Catholic means universal. It means to unite. So it become they create a village, or they create a way of life, then a religion to unify everyone to the universal thing. So that's what Catholic is. So when that is created or formed and push out the belief system called Christianity, then in that way you can say it's created with all the feasts, all the festivities, Christmas, Easter, and everything is
Halloween.
ingrained with Christianity because that's where it comes from, the Catholic.
Yeah, so that for me, okay, let's read the comments. The mark of the beast, I believe, will be worship. They will force you to worship the devil if you don't try. If you don't, they'll try to kill you. Every time they tried to destroy Israel, that's what they brought in worship. So Christianity.
So nice.
The mark of the beast, I
Like
believe,
Mm-hmm.
is what is being replacing the sign between Yah and his people.
Which
Is
is
that
Christianity.
no?
But no, because
The,
even
the
now,
Sabbath. He says the sign between he and his people. The beast. Because no,
So Christianity. Okay, so I'm saying that Christianity has done this that you have just said.
but not all
but no,
Christians.
that's why
But not
I
all
don't. You cannot
Christians.
say
So,
Christianity as
Christian-
a whole because they have
Christianity,
different
yes.
Okay, so
denominations.
am I going to say 80%, and you're going to say not all Christians? So,
Okay.
so I'm saying 80% of Christians. Okay, you want a lower number? 60? Go ahead. 60% of Christians promote. It can't be 60, but anyway, 60% of Christians have the thing that's have changed the form of worship from Sabbath to
They have
Sunday.
adapted the form of worship.
So I'm saying 60% of Christians promote Sunday worship, which
Maybe
is
more than that.
not in accordance. Just like I giving you a
Base number.
I give you a number that you can't refute.
Base.
So I'm saying majority of Christians, their way of worship is against the Torah. And so that would mean that they are promoting a lifestyle that's against the Messiah.
Yeah, but
Alright.
I still don't think you can say Christianity is the mark of the beast, because the same way you would have, you said 60%, you have the 40% of those same Christians who is doing it the correct way. And I think the mark of the beast is going to be something that is very clean and cut, as you on this side or you on that
But
side.
when you look at
Because you
it,
have the 40%, they still
so
they worship, yeah.
do Christians celebrate Christmas?
Yes, some do.
They should.
Okay, some.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
All
yeah,
of them
Okay.
should.
Okay, let me put it like this. You have Christians who celebrate Christmas, right? And some of them who celebrate Christmas is because they don't yet have the truth, right? But those some Christians, I'm sure if you put a gun to some of them head and tell them you have to, I'm just being dramatic right now, right? You have to like denounce God right now or
they would
die.
not.
And some of them would not do it and they would die.
Yeah.
So how can you say, and that's somebody who is a Christian celebrating
so
as
look,
that?
as
The
for
mark
me-
of the beast is going to clearly.
As for me, who has come out of Christianity, right? Who acknowledge Christianity and who didn't, I don't see that I was worshiping a different creator when I was in Christianity from now. I still see that system as the mark of the beast because it is promoting things that are not inconsistent, that are not consistent with the worship of the Most High. And so it's not that people aren't in the religion that want to serve God wholeheartedly, but that because when the Bible said, "Come out of her, my people," is it that it was saying that they weren't his people in the different organizations, whatever
Come out of
organization.
Babylon.
So where is this Babylon? Where is this confusion?
All right, that's the confusion is in the religious
Yeah.
world,
Mm-hmm.
in the worshiping world.
But you
And
cannot-
majority, the thing about it, Brother Joel, what you have to realize, majority of Christians don't really read the Bible for themselves. That is the downfall. They don't read the Bible. They will tell you what pastor say. For example, most Christians looking that they're going to die and go to heaven, or Jesus is coming to take them to heaven. And no Bible don't tell them that. But majority of Christians, you go to a funeral, that is the hope they all have, going to heaven. And they don't spend time to see that the Bible don't even promise you 1,000 years in heaven, as I hear some Christians say they're going for a vacation of 1,000 years and come back. The 1,000 years that Yahusha will be reigning on earth, they're planning to be in heaven. They just don't read their Bible. To know what it says, to hear what the pastor says. And these pastors, they go to the cemetery, or sorry. Sorry, the seminary.
Seminaries.
They go to the
A lot
seminary.
of them go to the cemetery too. Don't leave them out. We're not going to say 60%, but you know a percentage.
They go to the seminaries and they are taught what to teach and preach. So, like any good student, you go to school and you take in what is given, whatever your lecturer give you, you try to reproduce that. And this is what they have been doing. The Catholic Church run most of the universities. In St. Martin here, schools, most of them run by churches.
By the mark of the
You,
beast.
you are being indoctrinated by the Catholic Church,
By the,
right? So if you're a Christian, you're a Catholic, as far as I'm concerned.
so, so you
So
see how you
even
put
those-
Christians as
so
Catholic,
even
but
though-
you
So-
put them as the back of the beast.
But the Catholic Church is the head of all Christians. You cannot deny it. All of
Okay, but
them, every denomination come out of the Catholic Church.
okay, but hold on. Question.
The
We have
break
a
of-
comment
what-
to read. We have a comment
Oh.
to read. Shabbat shalom, brother Ian. But
Shabbat
Christianity
shalom,
will
brother
be
Ian.
used to Christian will be used to that effect. Most of these pastors are wolf in sheep clothing. Don't be fooled. Then people in the end will kill their pastor. Okay, but what
Don't be fooled then. People in the
end will kill their pastor?
Oh, when they
So that-
realize that the pastor
when-
has been
yeah.
deceiving them.
Yes, yes, the pastor
Yeah.
been deceiving
No,
them.
they will. The people will be merciful. They will be forgiving. They have, because people in the church, they genuinely want to worship God.
Yes, that's true.
Most of them.
Most of
Not
them,
all.
with all
Look
their
at
heart,
us.
with all their soul,
Look
with
at
all their
us.
mind, they genuinely want to worship God.
Yes.
But they have been deceived. And that is why we have this awesome responsibility to shine the light. That's why when it comes to the Feast of Dedication, Brother Joel, and lighting the candle, if you look at my message, it's all about the light. Let your light so shine. Right? It's one of the things that we embrace during this time of the Feast of Dedication and the lighting of the candles, that our light have to shine. We have to bring as the scripture says, no man light a candle and put it under a bushel, but you put it for the whole house to see. Right? And if we have the light and we don't shine it, then the people will stay in darkness. Right? Because when it comes to this cleansing of the sanctuary, there's one church that teaches that the sanctuary was cleansed in 1844. When Judas Maccabeus said, according to the book of Maccabees, it was cleansed in the year 148
Yes.
BC, before the Messiah. That prophecy of the Greek Empire and their rule and what was accomplished is fulfilled from that time.
I how they know it's 148 BC.
It's the time when Antiochus reigned.
No, Joel,
From
Joel,
one
Joel is
43.
questioning the author of
The Maccabees.
Maccabees would not have known about common error to say BC.
Oh,
So year 140. how he says yeah. He must have put some other year and then they translate and say, okay, this must be 148.
So
Because
basically,
he can't know 148 till the Messiah come.
basically then
Unless he does know.
that part would have been edited then in context.
in context, yeah.
Yeah.
But we know the Greek reign. Yeah. The Greek reign is before
Before the
the
Messiah.
Messiah. It's from
Yes.
330. I'm trying to remember the exact dates instead of 330 something that it lasted. So, what I'm saying is, if we read the Bible for ourselves and to understand what it is saying, then you won't get deceived by these preachers who telling you that of things that happen already fulfilled, that they put in a different time frame to it, and teaching. There's so much teaching that come of it. This whole teaching of the investigative judgment is based on that prophecy, which is only one church teacher, the Seventh-day Adventists, about investigative judgment. And it's a misinterpretation of the prophecy, because what they do, they link Daniel chapter 8 and 9 and say it is one vision. Where Daniel chapter 8 is a vision, and Daniel chapter 9, Daniel was reading out of a book of Jeremiah, not a vision. So they link both of them and get this 2,300 days for the sanctuary to be cleansed and using those. The question, let me read Daniel chapter 8 for you. Let me read Daniel chapter 8. Because when it comes to the cleansing of the sanctuary, if you don't understand what Daniel is talking about, you're going to get it all wrong.
Oh, would like an Adventist to come and to explain.
The Adventists can listen.
No, but you have to hear their. You have
I,
to hear
I,
their
I,
reasoning.
I was an Adventist, and if they change the teaching again, because they changed it already, in 1844, when they said that the Messiah would come, and said Christ would come in 1844, they said, no, he not, he wasn't supposed to come, but his duties change. I don't know if they changed the teaching since I leave that organization, but they say his duties change. But listen, I'm reading from verse 13 of Daniel chapter 8. It says, I then heard a certain holy one speaking. A second holy one said to the first one, how long will be this vision last? The one concerning the daily sacrifice, the desolating rebellion, and the handing over of the sanctuary and its forces to be trampled. He said to me, for 2,300 evenings and mornings, then the sanctuary will be restored. 2,300 evenings and mornings. The sacrifices, the daily sacrifices, you had one in the morning, one in the evening. Yes. So 2,300 sacrifices. So from the time that Antiochus came in and stopped the offering of the sacrifices, right, sometime before he defiled it, and to the time he defiled it and to when it was restored would be 2,300 evenings and mornings. So you divide that into 1,150 days, 3 years and some months.
So that was that.
Right? So that prophecy is there concerning the cleansing of the sanctuary, and so we see where it is fulfilled by the Maccabees. They cleanse it. This is all of what we're reading about here. Let me read about a little further, so you know it's definitely the kingdom of Greece that he was talking about. We have time? We can read from verse 1? Yes. In the third year of King Belshazzar's rule, a vision came to me, Daniel, sometime after the earlier vision I had. I saw this vision and I experienced it. I was in the walled city of Susa in the province of Elam by the Ulai Canal. When I lifted up my eyes, I suddenly saw a ram with two horns standing in front of the canal. Both horns were high, but one was higher than the other. The higher one came up after the other one. I saw the ram going west and north and south. No animal could resist the ram, and no one could stop it, rescuing others from its power. The ram did whatever it pleased. It became powerful. This ram with two horns, that's the Medes and the Persians. I was trying to understand this when suddenly a he goat came from the west, crossing the entire earth but not touching the ground. Between this goat's eyes was a horn that was a sight to see. The he goat came to the ram that had two horns. The one I had seen in the front of the canal. The he goat charged the ram in powerful anger. I saw the he goat approach the ram. It was enraged at the ram and attacked it, shattering the ram's two horns. The ram couldn't resist the he goat. The he goat threw the ram on the ground and trampled it. No one could rescue the ram from the he goat's power. So this is the Greek Alexander the Great, the speed with which he conquered, that it says that he did not touch the ground. The he goat became even greater, but at the height of its power, its large horns snapped, and in its place four horns, each a sight to see, came up towards the four winds of heaven. This is when Alexander the Great died, and his empire divided to the the four horns that came up. A single very small horn came out of one of the four horns, and it grew bigger and bigger, stretching towards the south, the east, and the beautiful country. The beautiful country is Israel. I, it grew as high as the heavenly forces until it finally threw some of them and some of the stars down to the earth. Then it trampled on them. It grew as high as the very leader of those forces, taking the daily sacrifice away from him and overturning his holy place. This is Antiochus Epiphanes that is referred to here, um, taking away the daily sacrifice. If in an act of rebellion, another force will take control of the daily sacrifice, it will throw truth to the ground and will succeed in everything it does. I then heard a certain Holy One speaking, as second Holy One said to the first one, how long will this vision last? The one concerning the daily sacrifice, the desolating rebellion, and the handing over of the sanctuary and its forces to be. He said to me, for 2,300 evenings and mornings, then the sanctuary will be restored. So, right there, it is clear.
But I hear and comment on the conversation from before regarding the mark of the beast. The Christians is a branch of the Catholic. They don't come out.
What is it?
So
Christians are branch is a branch of the Catholic.
not the other way
A Christian
around.
is a branch of the Catholic. They don't come out. So they're not-
Catholics are Christians.
Christians are Catholic.
Christians are the Catholic Church
Both
is
way.
the head of all Christian religion.
So that you can't see that they're the mark of the beast.
They will implement the mark of the beast. But the mark of the beast, as far as I'm concerned,
It's
is
not
not
yet, no.
enforced as yet.
But they have
Okay.
accomplished
Okay.
all the things that were there listed out
The,
in
the,
the.
the stuff
Not
that
necessarily.
separate Yasharala from the rest of the world.
Yeah, the same things that we read in the book of Maccabees. The same agenda
The
where
same agenda of Babylon, the same agenda.
they have
Agree.
accomplished it. They
But
are the
can
beast.
Still, but they can still freely worship, though.
Yeah, but they have us freely worshiping who?
No, but
No,
Joel,
Joel, they still worshiping.
Joel,
These people
you're still worshiping Yah.
God. Exactly.
you still worshiping Yah. So that's the point that Brother Waiting is saying, is that
But
they
maybe
will enforce it.
but maybe we miss maybe there was a point where they were enforcing it.
Brother Joel,
And if even the Bible says it ain't come yet.
it is not
They have
enforced
enforced it.
yet because no one is being
Executed.
persecuted
Exactly.
to observe that mark, to receive the mark, whether in your right hand or in your forehead.
But okay, for me, we have said this that the mark being in your hand and in your forehead is not necessarily a physical mark, but rather, okay, I understand the part about not being able to buy and sell, but
It's the
it's not.
same. It's the same Sunday law.
The
You
way
can't
of
buy and
life.
sell
So
on
so
Sunday.
it,
A way of life.
Shop closure.
so but the mark being on your forehead and in your hand is
A
the
way
way
of
of
life.
life, how you worship.
Yeah.
But the point is you're still free to do so. When
Up
that
till
time
now,
comes and it's
shop
implemented,
still open on Sundays.
you cannot freely be
But
worshiping God.
okay, look, they say that you're free, right? But look the other day, Kyrie Irving said something. Is he free?
Well, when it comes to that, Brother
But
Joel,
you're not looking
freedom of
exactly.
speech, our freedom, our privacy, that is being taken all over the world.
So
What
they
we
are
say, what
they
we
are
saying,
allowing some.
what you're saying here now can be used against you.
Yes, but
Sure.
I'm saying that they allowing some stuff, but you're not really free. Once
Jo-
they feel
okay.
threatened, they will shut you down.
But the
Okay,
point
hold
is
on,
you
Joy.
can
Let, let,
still
let, let me let me bring it back. Let me bring back home for you, right? Joel, if the Prime Minister of St. Martin or call you tomorrow and say, call Joe, I need your services. My tire, my battery died, I need to change my battery. You can't tell them, um, today's Sabbath, I don't work on
You get an
Sabbath.
automatic message from Carl Joe.
Close.
Automatic
So then
response.
now you gonna be close. So then now, but the prime minister need assistance. So now prime minister gonna say, but I need Carl Joe.
So it have other services there.
No, but you see, but no, that is where the freedom will
exactly.
be taken away. Cause now Saturday, busiest day, I need Carl Joe. Carl Joe supposed to be here.
No, you have other services, you have a choice of services.
Yeah.
What will happen to Carl Joe is that when he wants to do his business on Sunday, they will tell him, no, you cannot go there and make any noise on Sunday to disrupt the rest. The earth need to rest, and you need to
And not
rest.
that too, somebody could report you and say, "Oh, I get a message on Saturday saying, oh, today is my Sabbath and whatnot," and you could be persecuted for that. Right now, everybody could get that message and they cannot do you nothing because of it. Therefore, the mark of the beast is not yet in place.
No, you will just find you're losing kind. Oh, he's a Sabbath keeper, then we're not going to support him.
Yeah.
But I still find the way how the organization is set up and what it has enacted, what it has done.
I understand. I think I understand what you're saying. That
Yeah.
the mark of the beast is already here. It is not to come.
So
So in the sense that the way of life, the way people think, the way people work, it's already here.
And
So
I think it's been here
May-
from a long time. It just hasn't been implemented.
Right, it has not been
Because
Yeah.
even from
enforced.
since I was
maybe
a
just not
little
fully
girl,
implemented.
yeah,
even
That-
as a Catholic then, people would always say all of the things that is going on in the world now is a trial and error for when it's time for them to really implement this thing. And even then, it used to be a bunch of he say she say. When they would say the mark of the beast would come and the Antichrist would be one of the popes from the Catholic Church. So even then, you basically already had this knowledge, it no matter how weird it was, that it would be the Catholic denomination to usher in the Antichrist. This is where all of this will be coming from. So that's why I say it's not yet in place. It has been there, but it's not yet in place.
So I find it's in place, but it's just how much of the full force that it is exhibiting. So it it execute part of its program, which is to change where you worship. Step one, change where you worship, change who you worship, or well, change
But
the
the
way you
who,
worship,
That is
that why I
what the
say
Greeks did.
change the way how you worship. No, but remember, it was reestablished after the Greeks because the Messiah came after the Greeks.
Yes.
So the Messiah was there during the Roman Empire, but after the Roman Empire,
But remember, many did not believe in him, so they did not follow.
many did not believe in the Messiah, but they were still Jews. They were still Yahudims, people that believed in the creator of heaven and earth and how he should be worshipped. Whether they were Pharisees and abusing the law or not, they still believed in the creator of heaven and earth and the different things.
but you see you see now you have to pay attention to terminology and what you're saying, because that same thing you say, even though they was Pharisees and abusing the law, they still believed in the creator of heaven and earth.
Ye-
You still have these Christians
No, but
that although they're not worshiping him the correct way because they're being deceived and all of that, at their core they still believe in the creator of heaven and earth.
but you know that the Pharisees was not the major part of the Jewish people.
They were the teachers.
They were the teachers, but they weren't the people, so they were the pastors. So check
So
now, and you see count pastors compared to people in the congregation. So
but what the
then you
pastor teach you is what you're drinking and swallowing and what you
Yes.
practicing.
So what we're saying, Brother Joel, Christianity as a religion, we can say that it is not the true belief in the Creator. It doesn't practice the laws of the Creator. There are some people who come out of Catholicism, what you refer to as Protestants, although now they say there is no more Protestants, they are all one. Right?
But
But
I'm sure the ones that we come from
but e-
would deny that.
but even for Sabbath keeping, you're coming out of Babylon, but how far out are they coming? Are they coming out of Babylon, but they still carry some of the Babylonian garments? They still carry some of the Babylonian practices. They don't leave off everything. They maintain the name Jesus, which come from the same Zeus. You see where we read there, where they call them to worship Zeus.
Yes.
In the King James 16:11, what you say? Isis.
who doing it? Not the
Isis,
beast.
Isis and Zeus is the same.
Who's doing it? Not the beast, the Antichrist.
Right? When you check the 16:11, you won't find Jesus in it. There's no
The
Jesus.
letter J is,
The letter J wasn't there,
within in the English language.
right?
Yeah.
And so the people, this is what they learn, especially for us who are descendants of the transatlantic slave trade. Our foreparents, they couldn't read. Even if you give them the Bible, they weren't able to read it. So you have the overseer who would come and teach one of the slaves
Slaves.
to teach the other slaves, and he stand up there to make sure they're teaching them what they want them to learn. And they bring in all of their pagan worship, like the sun worship of the sun god, sun's day, and they have the people worshiping and tell them when they read, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, that's done away with. That was nailed to the cross.
Who would do such a thing? The one that decided to change times and laws.
Yes.
And
But
not part of the beast.
But what I'm saying, we have to have some compassion, some sympathy for the people who are just following the blind leaders.
So, for me, it's not saying that the Christian people are the
Condemn.
beast.
You're not
are
condemning
condemned.
nobody.
Look, I say I was a Christian, and I don't say that I was the beast are the one.
Okay.
They are the beast.
All right.
But I when I look at it,
You're saying the
what
system.
that thing
The
that
religion.
that religion that I was a part of promoted is what would be is a lot of things that against the word of the Most High,
So
or that if it's the bare minimum that they remove the name of the Father.
they remove the name of the Father
That's the bare minimum.
and they remove the
They
appointed
replace.
times, the feast days.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Though some would come and they accept the Sabbath, but just one out of the 7 Sabbaths, they observe one, they leave out the other 6. So that those you don't have to keep.
Okay, so let me just interject on one thing. Speaking about the different denominations, when it comes to with the Sabbath, yes, a lot of I think it's just Adventist and Church of God,
Church of God
and
7 day
and it have a few others that still
Yeah.
observe
You have a lot of church of Sabbath keeping
but
groups.
majority don't. Most of them is Sunday groups. But now in this current day, when it comes to about the name of God, I wouldn't say that they take out his name, because even in the Adventist church now, you do find preachers, some people when they give their sermons, not all of them is pastors, they do refer to him as Yeshua, they do say Yahweh and stuff like that. So it's not a case where maybe back then that was the thing, but now, and it's not just in the Adventist church, in
So
most
that's
churches now,
But
which
The
different
people
denominations, they
trying
refer to
to
him as
trying
that's
to
the
call the
names.
Hebrew names.
Yes, that's the names they
but
use now.
that's
And you would
where
even
you say you
see in
shine
a
the
lot of
light.
songs now and all of those stuff. So
Yeah.
maybe from what back then when you were in the religion, it has advanced and made some improvements. So you cannot still hold them accountable for something that was years ago when they have made some changes. Not all of them. I don't think I have seen any other church, because I just go to different churches. I haven't seen any other church observe the feast days. That one there for sure. I haven't seen them.
there's one there middle region that observes the feast days.
Oh well, I don't know that.
Well,
But okay,
as
what I wanted to respond to Amalia to say that that is from programs like this, or what
brother,
we
yeah.
used to listen to on you watch YouTube, the IUIC camp and those people you searching, people searching for truth, and they're searching to find where what to do, how to worship, right? And so when they are enlightened, when when they see the light, and then they try to apply it in their worship, and they go back to in their congregation, and they use the names and stuff. But as a people, as a collective, they stay blind, quote unquote, blind.
I not it's not
But
that the people aren't trying to worship. I'm not saying that, because I tell you I was a Christian, and so I acknowledge that I was wholeheartedly worshiping. For me, I
yes,
don't know
so
about everybody else
and
that
that
going
is
through.
what
the
requires, that you worship him with all your heart,
with
with all
all
Yes,
your
your
soul,
mind, with all your soul.
right?
yes,
So
but
Withholding nothing.
but
to the
also
best of
says
your
come out
knowledge.
of her, my people.
Yes, so
Yeah,
when
but
you get the light, the
But if you
problem
don't know
is
who is her, you can't come out. So that's the thing.
So that's why I identified her.
no, the problem that we face is that people will see the light, but because it's going to disrupt so much of their lifestyle, they
will
rather to
refuse
stay
it.
where they are
To
than
be comfortable.
get uncomfortable
Yeah.
making that move.
Yeah.
Right?
So that
And what the danger, as Amalia was saying a while ago, about people calling the names, but look at the deception in the names. When they would say Yeshua or Yahweh, Jehovah, trying to find a name
But
and not getting to the accuracy
yeah,
of
there,
what
there,
was
there,
written.
there is deception,
But they're
and
trying.
there's also a learning curve.
Yes.
So, because we didn't get to Yahweh and
not
Yahuwah and
at one.
and Yahusha
Exactly.
right away. So
Yes.
there's a learning curve.
Yes, but what
So-
I'm saying is that there are those out there who are giving you this misleading
Yeah, but they
interpretations of the names.
some of them are still on their journey. So not because you hear someone teach something now means that that's what they will be.
3 years from now, they might teach something.
I taught Lord Jesus Christ for years.
Baptized.
This is the name of the Father.
Baptized.
Baptizing in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ for years. More than
In the name of the Lord Jesus.
so
Yes,
so
we
remember
use
you
the
baptized in
name.
the name of the Father and the Son
Lord
and the
is the name of the
so
Father.
Lord is the name of the was the name of the Father according to me. Jesus, the name of the Son, and Christ, the
Name of
the
the Holy
Spirit.
Spirit.
So baptizing you in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. This is what I believed for years and what I taught and what
But my question is, that's what you believe, but is that what they told you? Or that's
Yes,
what just
that
your
is what-
understanding?
That's what was taught in the
that's
church.
what
Lord
That-
Jesus
look who teach me.
Christ?
Look who teach me. And I'm pointing no fingers, you know, about it.
No, but I'm no, because I'm watching you know with my eyes open because
Yeah.
I'm a part of the denomination you come out from. And they don't tell you that.
No,
not the
We
Adventist.
we weren't Adventists.
No, I was
Okay,
Adventist.
he was
not them.
Adventist.
Not them.
Oh, that's why I watch you like that. Why I'm
No.
like, I think you misunderstand them with your Lord Jesus.
No,
No, we
no.
visited
No, no, no.
Adventist church. I grew up in
I was
church of
baptized Adventist, not them.
I grew up in Church of God 7 Day. So part of Salem, West Virginia.
No,
Yeah.
I know that denomination. I tested it out and I was like, nope.
You're a testament? Where?
Church of God,
Which one?
7, not in the States, but Church of God 7 Day.
Where?
In St. Lucia.
In St. Lucia.
Oh, St.
Yeah,
Lucia.
they have a good.
Yeah,
branch here.
yeah,
They
yeah,
have
it's,
they have a
it's-
good
it's probably
amount.
I
them.
visited them
Yeah,
in St. Lucia. In
they have
which,
a large following.
which place that I was again?
Castries? I don't know that.
No,
Cashews
man,
is a
no.
whole
No,
thing
no,
outside
no,
the
no,
country.
I just give the one name.
Sufi,
no,
Sufi.
man,
Sufi.
Sufre.
Oh,
Sufi.
super. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so
And out on the street meeting that Sabbath. And,
Yeah, there was a little too, and then when I would question the elders, the answers just wasn't like what my eyes were seeing and what you telling me wasn't clopping. So I was like,
so
Yeah,
it's just to say that one.
The thing is, in this thing, right? You have to. There are people who preach, but they are not. They are preachers, but they are not teachers. So, in some things, you will need a teacher to teach you to show you what they're saying. While the preacher will just preach, and if you prick you, and then you get convicted. But there's a difference between a preacher and a teacher. And some people need the teacher to see the light.
you know what
Yeah.
I think they should implement in churches? I just always sit down in church and say that sometimes, they should have a question, at least a 30-minute question and answer segment after the pastor preach. Because you cannot, if they say something, you
cannot
cannot stop and
interrupt
interrupt and
them.
ask them, but
Right.
and challenge them. It's just you just have to take whatever they say and swallow it. And then sometimes you might, for example, if I just finished studying a chapter, and if you study the chapter, you know that chapter inside and out. So now if you reference into something and I'm like, no, that's not what they were saying.
No,
But
yeah.
you cannot know, raise your hand and ask a question.
So like
You
Gino,
just have
Gino
to-
Jennings type of style or like
well,
like the
Yeah,
biblical
so I
type.
think after a pastor, they should implement that in all churches. After you preach your sermon, you should have at least 30 minutes question and answers.
They don't
Because
want you-
sometimes I might ask you the question and then your response, we go in and I'm like, oh, okay, you're right. Maybe I misunderstood. Okay.
But they don't
And
want
we
you
learn.
question the pastor.
Or somebody else learn
Yeah,
something.
well, like the last Church of God, 7 days, pastor didn't like me questioning him.
just find it disrespectful, right?
Well, he had a problem with me every time he said something. I questioning him. So, but I had to ask questions. Every pastor that I had to question them. I don't just take what they say, what I read. You have to explain it for me to
And
understand it. And that is why,
Exactly.
it's important that you read the Bible for yourself. You know what is there. And these books which are hidden, like the apocryphal books, like the book of Maccabees, we need to know what is in them as well. The book of Joshua, Jubilees, Enoch, all these books. I encourage people to read them. Why it was in the Bible before, and then they take it out.
But you know the Catholics,
who
they
take
just read these books.
to back Joel point, to back Joel point. Who take it out?
But the beast does read it. According to you, the beast does read it. The Catholics,
They have
they
them.
just read them.
They have
The
them.
bees have it.
They
But
have
you
them.
saying the beast take them out? The beast did
But,
not take
but
them
they,
out.
they didn't want us to get the Bible
The-
at all in the
The
first
bees
place.
removed it from the canon.
They didn't want us to have the Bible at all in the first place.
The bees removed the sanctity
That's
off
just
of the Sabbath
too-
and put on Sunday.
Too much information for us. If we read all of those and to see what the Greeks were doing, and to see
mean-
that the Romans come doing the same thing,
But when you think about it, right,
it's just too much information.
they
to be
they
out there.
could not have taught slaves the Maccabees.
No.
No,
No.
that's really teaching you to define me. No.
No, you couldn't teach that to slaves.
So, yeah.
So, as we're saying, for this feast of dedication, it's such a rich history of the people and their survival. To see that we survive all of that, and then we come back surviving the transatlantic slave trade, and with all the pressures that is put on Israel, still surviving.
Yeah.
And don't be fooled, the enemy haven't stopped planning as to how to defeat Israel. But Israel is there as a witness, or rather I should say Yasharala, is there as a witness for Yahuwah. And so whatever festivals, whatever to do with the history of the people, we embrace them. It's not about salvation. It's not a point of doing this to be
To
saved.
be saved, no.
It's just knowing the culture of the people of God and embracing their
This
culture. Historic
moment.
moments and embracing them. It's not about salvation. You don't have to do this to be saved, but it just show that you are acquainted with the history of the people and supporting. So I enjoy the feast of dedication. The menorah, there's so much meaning in it, and we got a lovely one there in my house this year. It's looked so beautiful, and I just love to see it, and with all the history that is associated with a menorah, it's just lovely.
Well, in my house, I improvise with the menorahs in a sense. I turn up two glass upside down to put the candles on top of the glass, and then the middle one there's a bigger cup
A higher one.
to put the higher candle, and two ends I put the candles flat so it climb up to the middle one. High.
Okay.
Yeah, improvisation. And it look nice. It look uniform and nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just culture, and it's a matter of which culture you want to be associated with. What people Which God you're serving is the question. Yes.
Yes,
You know, emblem.
Oh, many word, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Still,
instead, while the world is going
towards Christmas.
towards Christmas, we don't allow moments like this to pass us by where there's another Hebrew
Tradition.
celebration that we should and can observe.
Yeah. So just to recap or to go as Brother Wilson just said, it is not in the Leviticus 23 instruction given by Yah that we should keep these.
It's not one of the appointed times of
Not one of the
Yahuwah.
appointed times, correct. So, but it is a historic moment that the people of Israel, Yasharala, have experienced, and it was instructed that, hey, we're going to celebrate this moment in time. Every year we're going to remember cleansing the temple and getting victory through Yah over the Greeks, being able to cleanse the temple, to restore the temple.
And to um, let it be known that there was no 400 years of silence
Yes,
where
read the Maccabees, the book of Maccabees.
between Malachi and Matthew, that gap, uh, God wasn't silent. He was working through his people. These men, they experienced the power of Yah's deliverance. The battles that they won, it was not on their own strength. They were outnumbered by the enemy many times, but they came out victorious.
Yeah, and that was highlighted in First Maccabees chapter 4, where he said, "Let's cry out to our God," and yes,
They
like
fasted, they
people-
prayed,
yeah.
and Yah
Yeah.
delivered.
Yes, thank you very much. We give you thanks to do the nice study and kind of drift off into the mark of the beast and stuff like that. But you know, it's interesting and it's a lively discussion to understand our history, understand why we do certain celebrations and why we partake in them. And we encourage you, the viewers and the listeners, to do the same, to study, to prove what you're reading and to understand what you're reading and put it into practice as you seek to worship Yah in spirit and in truth. So they say,
And that's which cultures you want to associate with.
yes. And I think Joe always say to make sure you come out of her, my people. So if you are Yah's people, you need to come out of her. You need to identify who is her, Babylon, and come out. So
Come out all together.
yeah. So, just want to say Shabbat Shalom. Thank you all for listening and tuning in. And we hope to see you next time. Hallelujah, ambassadors, truth seekers.
Shabbat Shalom.
Bye.
Hey, just end live.